Hello, hello. Hey, hey everybody. How is everybody doing? Hopefully you guys are having a good weekend and doing good so far. Or, if you had a busy week, hopefully you get a chance to settle down and catch a bit of a breather with us over here on our Saturday stream. Hello. Yeah, hello Angelo. Don't know if you're still here. Hello Kana. Hello Katie Bell. Hello Sapphire Wolf. You guys are the early ones, so you guys get a little shout out. It's gonna be a great night. Oh, is it nighttime for you? Okay, well, yeah. Hopefully you have a good night stream. I guess you enjoy your night hanging out with us. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. How am I doing? Yeah, I'm doing not too bad. Kind of just hanging around. Got a little bit of like a late birthday lunch with my parents. Kind of went out for like just, I don't know, I guess we had steak, or I had steak. My mom got like salad, my dad had, I think, like a burger. I got a steak. They recommended the steak, and I was like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll try it out, see how it is. Not bad. It was like, oh, all right. I feel like I'm not really a huge steak person. So I feel like I can't really enjoy it in the ways that some people do. I don't know. Let me know if you're a steak enjoyer and what your favorite steak place is. But I feel like either steaks are really, really expensive and they're not like that much. I feel like the cost to taste value, it's not quite there, you know. So I feel like whenever I eat steak, it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't balance out. But other than that, steaks are fine. Steaks are pretty good, but not my favorite piece of food, I would say. I was wanting to study background painting like yesterday, and I've been scrolling through a bunch of concept art like Arcane. The stream is right on time. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, I guess while we're waiting, I know it's 3 o'clock, we'll wait a little bit longer. This is actually a piece that I'm working on. I thought I'd throw in a piece that I'm kind of doing. But yeah, this piece is something that I've been doing with the animation students, because we're going to be doing a parallax background, and this is one of the pieces there, so it's pretty, I feel like it's turning out not too bad. I haven't gotten a chance to color it yet, but yeah, kind of slowly chipping away at the line art and everything. Arcane is the best. Yeah, Arcane is awesome. Arcane, I feel like, actually I said that too quick. I really like Arcane. I really like the art style. The music's fun to listen to. I do listen to the soundtrack when I'm working every now and then. What else? And the story is not bad. I think it's like a little bit cliche, but you know what? I feel like it's like really fun, and it's really like, it's like the action's really cool and it's fun to look at. But yeah, story is a little bit like cheesy or cliche. Not cheesy, it's cliche. It's a little bit cliche, but I think it's all in good fun. So I still overall really like Arcane. Although the second season felt a little bit like a little bit more to be desired, but still overall pretty good. Hand paint. I haven't. Are you doing a hand paint right now? I haven't done hand painting in a while. Hello, hey Moonlight. Hello, hello. Yeah, so I guess we'll get started. Welcome everybody to today's Saturday stream. Hope you all are having a good weekend and enjoying your Saturday so far. Yeah, happy that you're able to, or that you guys are hanging around with us and just chilling with me while I do our background stream for today. And yeah, if you don't know who I am, my name is Josh, and I'm one of the instructors here at Wing Canvas. And if this is your first time hanging out with us on our stream, hello. And yeah, hopefully you get a chance to check out our many videos and our many live streams where you can learn art education for free, because that's kind of one of our goals here. But if you do want to level up and push yourselves a little bit further, we're actually more than just a YouTube channel. We actually have a website of our own where we offer plenty of classes and slots and topics where you can learn from us and get feedback from not just me, but Arunya and Faye and some of our other instructors as well. And we're all great and have like many different kind of specialties. So yeah, if you're not too sure which one of us suits your needs, feel free to go on to the website and kind of read up on our bio and I don't know, pick whichever one best suits your artistic education needs, I guess. But if you want to support us but aren't able to attend the class, no worries. You can also support us over on Patreon. And if nothing else, you can always like and subscribe. This is a great way to just show support and also stay up to date with our streams as well. And if you want to get notified of anything that we post, as well as just some bonus lessons and perks, definitely check us out on our Discord and Instagram, where we post a lot of the post-stream images, some images from class sometimes, newsletters goes up on our Instagram and Discord. But yeah, Discord is probably one of the best places to kind of be connected with, because we update that constantly. There's a huge community on there and a lot of people, and everybody's really great. So yeah, come hang out with the Wing Canvas community over on Discord. And I guess actually, before we jump right in, we always do this thing on our Discord, and also I guess another reason to join our Discord. Every month we do a monthly art challenge, and this month's art challenge was Jobs of the Future. So it's kind of like sci-fi and maybe like mech based, or just any kind of like sci-fi, any reason to draw some kind of sci-fi illustration. And so we always give a little bit of a shout out to our community on Discord who participate on these art challenges, and it just allows us here at Wing Canvas to show our community a little bit of love. So our first one up is okay, also really long name, Absolute Knife of Hyper Stabby. I had to like really keep an eye on the Discord while typing this one out, but thank you, Absolute Knife of Hyper Stabby, for submitting your piece here. Actually, I'm just gonna shorten it to Hyper Stabby. Hopefully you're okay with it. But Hyper Stabby actually has a few more pieces, or maybe just one more piece, uploaded onto Discord. So if you want to read up on their explanation of this character and take a little bit of a closer look of the image, as well as look at the other piece that they submitted, then you can find it on the Art Challenge channel over on our Discord. But yeah, this is a really cool design. I really love the shape, and actually all the little side sketches that you have on the side look really, really awesome. So thank you, Absolute Knife of Hyper Stabby, for submitting. And then the next one is also by Trix again. So Trix, I showcased Trix's piece, I think last time I streamed. Don't remember, I think that was last week. Yeah, on Monday I showcased Trix. But, you know, I thought, you know what, Trix had a few more pieces up their sleeves, so I decided, you know, what other better way to show a little appreciation for participating in the art challenge by showcasing some more of Trix's pieces. So thank you, Trix, and thank you, Absolute Knife of Hyper Stabby, for submitting your pieces. And as always, if you want to participate and hopefully get a chance for us to give you a bit of a shout out, remember to join our Discord and then submit some kind of sci-fi job related piece into the art challenge, and yeah, you'll get a chance to participate on our streams. So again, thank you two for submitting, and hopefully get a chance to see more of your pieces, or like the community's pieces down the line. And yeah, it's only middle of May, so there's plenty of time. Okay, so going back to the main topic of today's stream, I see here, how long will the stream be? It will be 2 hours long. So we always stream, our streams are always 2 hours long. So for today, on Saturday, it goes from 3 to 5. If I need a little bit more time to tweak some things, sometimes I'll push the stream a little bit further. But the lucky thing about this one, so I guess this is a good segue into what we're doing today. we're going to be doing a sci-fi background. And oh, I totally forgot to screenshot the poll, but we always post a poll on the community post over on our YouTube channel where you can participate in a poll. So maybe let me just quickly grab that. But yeah, basically either a day or two before the stream starts, we post a poll for you guys to vote on what topic you want to see me draw. And seems like testing lab was the winner. So you can see here, this was the poll. So yeah, every few days before the stream starts, so usually I'll either post on Thursday or on Friday, I'll post a poll asking you guys what you would like for me to draw during stream. And you guys voted for testing lab. That was the winner. I was kind of hoping to do like a sci-fi subway station. I thought that would be kind of cool, but seems like this testing lab won out, which totally makes sense. I get why testing lab won out. But yeah, this is kind of what we'll be doing for today's stream. And yeah, and as you might have noticed, for the title it says part 1. So today is going to be the first part of a 2-part series for today's topic. So for today, I think the goal is mostly going to be just drawing the background, planning it up, coming up with some concept pieces or concept ideas, and then afterwards, on next week, I'm going to be cleaning it up and hopefully also coloring the science lab kind of background piece. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for today. And if you have any questions about backgrounds, if you have any kind of questions on how I approach drawing backgrounds, be sure to let me know in the chat. I'm always more than happy to answer any questions or kind of just chat to you guys about almost anything. And yeah, well, I guess we'll get started. I think that's kind of everything. So we'll kind of run through the quick plan as always. If you've been a part of these streams before, you'll know that I always love to kind of run through the general plan of the game plan of how we're going to tackle this. So we're going to write it out. So the game plan. And actually, the reason why I like writing these out is because hopefully this also shows you a way that you guys can also start your pieces. I know that a lot of people like to just jump right into the drawing and I guess the piece without really contemplating it a bit too much or thinking about it too much. But I think it's always a great idea to write it out. And oh, also hello anybody who's just joining us. Hello Gigi loves to draw, and also hello Sleepy Panda. But yeah, I feel like writing out sometimes your ideas and writing out your game plan for what you want to do is a good way of kind of keeping your ideas on track and giving you a good direction and trajectory to head into. So we're going to come up with some maybe like written ideas. Let me know if there's anything you want me to include in the drawing. Actually, wait, I think I remember seeing someone comment something that they wanted me to add. Oh yes, storytelling. That is a good point. Yeah, someone brought up storytelling. Hello, RMR, Ola, and Art. Yes, we're gonna be arting today. Writing ideas out. So I personally like to write out the plan and ideas. Kind of figuring out like the topic. So in this case, it would be like a test lab, and the theme is like sci-fi. So I'm starting to make my own graphic novel, but I'm afraid to post it the cover of it on Discord because I don't want it to get stolen. What is the best advice? I don't think there's really anything that when sharing it with on like the internet and online and publicly, you kind of just have to do it. I think if you're a little bit scared that it might get like stolen or copied, I think what I usually do when I post onto Instagram, and a lot of professional artists do this as well, is to either put a watermark over your image, like maybe have your name translucently stamped at the bottom, or just have your signature at the bottom, or other people just upload a very, very low res quality image onto Discord or onto whatever social media platform you're doing that on. So that's kind of what I do. Let's say my image is 10 by 10. I'll upload a 5 by 5 version and of a lower resolution, so that when people want to upscale it or zoom in, and like if they want to print it on a t-shirt, it's just going to look really bad if they upsize it. So that's kind of what I do. But I feel like there's no real other way to kind of rip that band-aid off of going public or like uploading your piece and sharing it with the public. You kind of just have to do it. But I think go in knowing that, I think there's more positivity out there than the negative backlash when it comes to sharing your art. So topic, we're doing test lab. Theme, we're doing sci-fi. I think what would be kind of cool is maybe if we do a little bit of like rows or different rows of test tubes. So maybe rough idea. You could do rows of test tubes. And we're going to kind of draft out the composition. So we're going to plan out the composition. And yeah, I think we can go from here, I think. So this is the general game plan. Now it looks very simple, and I feel like a lot of people kind of go like, oh well, why did you have to write it out? It seems pretty straightforward. I don't know about you, but I feel like everybody has a little bit of a different way of planning and fleshing out their thoughts. Over the years, I've found that just kind of writing things out and kind of when you write it out and write out the thoughts that are in your head, I feel like you kind of think through it a little bit more. Yeah. To see it in a sci-fi background, like must there be lots of cables, or must it be blocky, or is it important to just show that it's metal? Oh, those are all really, really good things. Actually, you can kind of write that out. Like, what makes it sci-fi? Actually, I think that's a pretty good question. What makes it sci-fi? I think we all kind of know what sci-fi feels or looks like, but yeah, what kind of things or like design elements or design shapes should we include to make it feel like sci-fi? I think that's a pretty good question. And then Sleepy Panda asks, when you're drawing, how do you know whether it's a good idea or not? That's also a really good question, and I think this comes down to doing rough drafts and writing ideas out, because a lot of the times we'll think something in our head, or we might even visualize something in your head, and you go like, oh yeah, that seems like a good idea, and you just kind of go for it. And then it's not until we really draw it or visualize it onto like our screen or onto our paper that we really can kind of see whether or not it's interesting, visually interesting. Because a lot of times I think when we just think of ideas, we're very emotionally tied to the idea. So drawing it out or writing it out, I think helps to really kind of almost realize like, or helps manifest the idea properly so that you can actually reflect on it better. And if that's why it's always a good idea to come up with more than, like, try to come up with 2 to 4 concepts of varying ideas so that you can also compare each one to each other. Because if you only come up with one idea, you have nothing to compare it to, and there's nothing really to contrast it with. So if you only have one, then that's going to be your best idea, and it might not even be the best out there. But if you have like 3 or 4 or 5 ideas that you can kind of compare with, you can be like, oh, that part looks really, really good, and that part works out really, really well, but that part doesn't. So what can I take from the other ideas, and how can I like combine them, maybe mix and match or swap things out? So coming up with more ideas is always good. Writing ideas out is always good. Doing research, finding references is always good. So yeah, no, really good question. Yeah. What makes it sci-fi? So you brought up cables. I do think cables do make it feel more sci-fi. I feel like it's the metal plating as well. Helps a lot, metal plating. So this was the image that I used on the left here. I use this for the poll, but I do think that this is a pretty good idea as to like what typically we think of when we think of sci-fi like environments or sci-fi backgrounds. I think it's just that we see a lot of this in movies and in shows, but it's also very much usually associated with like modern times. So if you think of like wood, like when you think of cabins or lodges or wooden houses, those are usually kind of associated with like olden times or settler times. If you think of bricks and wood and kind of like dry wood panels, we also think of those and associate those with like olden times or medieval times. And I think part of that is because back in the day, everything was much more like man-made, much more handcrafted, whereas sci-fi, a lot of the themes and story directions tend to kind of point us in a direction that humanity is going to lose a lot of the natural resources that are out there. So we don't have too much, like the mud is not as good anymore, the trees, the soil's not good, so no vegetation or plants grow anymore. So wood becomes kind of like a rare resource. And I think part of that then lends itself to the more metallic, colder, more hardy materials, kind of shinier materials. That tends to kind of be more associated with sci-fi more than like the organic colors, or the not organic colors, the organic materials, raw materials, or even just more natural, warmer colors and tones. So usually sci-fi is also associated with cool colors. But it doesn't always have to be cool colors. I think neon and like hypersaturation, things that are like hyper saturated, are also associated with sci-fi. And again, you might be like, oh, why are we writing all these things down? I kind of like know this. But what you'll end up finding out is that whenever we try drawing and whenever we try to start actualizing and realizing our ideas that are only in our head, we kind of forget all these things. It's kind of really funny. We always kind of just go like, okay, I know all these things. And then when you draw it, you're like, I don't know what to draw. Or like, wait, what does that look like? Or what color should it be? So writing it down, I feel like is always good because you can always go back to that checklist. You can always go back to this kind of almost in a way like a mood board or an idea board to figure out like the direction it should be going in. Brighter scenes mostly feature brighter colors. Yeah, I think it can go both ways. It definitely has a lot of like, it can feel very bright. I think very bright is associated with like high tech and maybe like futurism. And then I think usually like darker colors is associated with like punk, so like cyberpunk, steampunk, like neon cities require a lot of like darker backgrounds to allow for the lights to really stand out. Yeah, metal plating, I think a lot of like just let me see, like, oh, like gears as well, any kind of like mechanical pieces, I think. So we'll maybe go like mechanical pieces. Mechanical pieces definitely make things feel more sci-fi feeling, and I think everything is a lot more streamlined in a way, like much more, how should I say, irregular shapes in the room design. Irregular slash unique room designs. So what I mean by that is I think a lot of more normal houses or rooms I think are more square-like. Whereas if you look at a lot of sci-fi, especially stuff established by like Star Trek, Star Wars, Blade Runner, Terminator, maybe even, a lot of it is more like, so this would be like old, versus sci-fi always uses almost like irregular shapes, like hexagons, octagons, like sci-fi. And I don't know why, but I've noticed that it uses a lot of these more intricate geometric shapes for their rooms. Now, it's not all the time, but I do think that it does kind of help play with this almost like, whoa, no room is really like this. If you walk into a house, like an everyday average North American suburban house, or even just like a restaurant, everything's very boxy. Everything's very rectangular and prism. It's very odd or rare to get a room structured to be like this. I think part of it is probably because it's hard to build, and the structural integrity of it is also kind of a little bit harder to maintain more than a box. So I think that's why we usually just go with the older, more classic look to it. So I think these are some good kind of list of things to include in our room design. Let's see. Wendy Pereira asks, how do you come up with a good idea? So I think so a lot of questions on like how to come up with good ideas. I think a lot of that comes from inspirations outside, or just things that you love. So for example, I grew up a lot with like Star Wars, watched a little bit of Star Trek growing up, just a lot of movies and books that were set in the sci-fi setting. I think those things help guide and inspire me when I'm coming up with especially a more sci-fi idea. Now, obviously, if you're not doing a sci-fi idea, then I think it's always good to draw on the things that inspired you, that kind of motivated you, that got you to want to draw. Let those things be the inspiration to push you into what you think is a good idea. Good idea is I feel like the term good idea is a very broad and vague statement, and each one of us, all of us here, are going to have a little bit of a different idea as to what a good idea technically is. And a lot of that is just based on our own personal experiences, things that we've seen, things that we've personally enjoyed, things that we admire. Those are things that are constantly changing from person to person. So I think let those things drive you and inspire you to help you come up with a good idea. And obviously those are more on the idea side of things. Then the technical stuff, you have to learn that. That's all like learning perspective and lighting and values. Like those things you can learn and not need to really rely on your inspirations that you grew up on. But I think idea-wise, the concept of how to come up with a good idea is definitely based on, I think, your upbringing and as well as your surroundings. Whenever sci-fi comes up, the movie WALL-E immediately comes to mind. Ah, that's a good one too. Yeah. You know, it's been a while since I've watched WALL-E. I would love to kind of watch WALL-E sometime. Okay, so I guess now is enough talking. Let's get to the drawing part of it. Now, I'll try to come up with some varying ideas. Since we have, like, this is a two-parter, I do think that we'll get a little bit of time to tackle some multiple ideas to show you. So I'll call this concept thumbnails. If this is your first time hearing this term thumbnails, thumbnails are basically a way to come up with really, really small ideas. That's why they're called thumbnails. Don't literally draw them the size of your thumbnail though, but like draw them like relatively small. I usually try to keep them around the size of maybe my index finger, like from the fingertip to the knuckle. And they're supposed to allow you to get like your ideas out really, really quickly without having to mull over or think about them too much. Can sci-fi look natural? Like if you think of nature, everything is flowy and everything is kind of wild, but sci-fi is kind of clean, spacey, and technical. Yeah, exactly. There's kind of this pristine feel to it, kind of polished. But at the same time, if you think of like Star Wars and a lot of like, even like Resident Evil is kind of has like laboratories and everything. Sometimes it's not very clean. It's always usually sometimes like the aftermath. A lot of stories cover the aftermath of human ambition. It's like, oh, we wanted to push so much forward technologically wise that it doomed us like socially in a way, society wise. So it's always kind of interesting how like everything is almost like really pristine and clean, but it's always covered by grime and dirt and oils, and everything is all scratched and banged up. But it's like, oh, it used to be really shiny and clean and really nice, but it's all been kind of ruined by human nature in a way. I don't know, that sounds very negative. maybe we'll try to draw something a little bit more positive, but I guess that's going to be hard since we're doing a science lab. I think of sci-fi naturally, I just imagine nature clashing against sci-fi, like trees breaking through metals and so on. Oh, I love that. I love that kind of descriptions. Like nature feels like it's fighting against science. It's a cool imagery, I think. Science is a very human thing. Nature is almost like things out of our control. I guess nature kind of almost represents like our inability to control every single thing, whereas science feels like it's our drive to control everything. That's kind of cool. It's a cool concept. It's a cool idea. I don't know. Maybe we could do something with that. Okay. So, just gonna come up with some quick thumbnails. My recommendation when coming up with thumbnails and planning is to have like a little bit of a larger brush tip, and to again draw really loosely. Don't really focus too much on, you know, the nitty-gritty details and things like that. And we'll focus on color and lighting, maybe like today too. Cyborg theme is nice too. Oh yeah, cyborg would be like really cool. Oh yeah, that's also kind of like a play between nature and science. Nature with our human body, science with the cyborg element of it. Yeah, I saw this kind of test tube scene here, and I was like, oh, maybe it'd be cool if we do like a test tube right in the middle. And this is like nothing new, I don't think. We can kind of think of like maybe like a jar. So this is our first idea over here. Like a jar looking kind of test tube. And there could be like a creature in there maybe. I think with sci-fi, it's always having these like different cables and stations and everything that are supporting the object. And then there's always like tubes and wires running all over the place. I'm gonna have like a tube. They're running this way. Kind of neat. But yeah, hopefully how you guys are doing good. How are you guys? Hopefully you guys had a good week so far. Anybody doing anything interesting maybe for the weekend? Or anybody have any plans for Sunday maybe? Sundays feels like always like a nap day, I feel like. Saturday feels like an outing day. Although the weather right now in Toronto's a little bit cloudy. It's a little like not the best weather-wise. Oh, and then maybe we'll also even do like 1 point perspective. I'm gonna draw with you and trying some ideas of my own. Ooh, that sounds fun. Yeah. So if you don't know what 1 point perspective is, basically I'm gonna draw a line right through the center of my kind of composition, and I'm gonna put a small little dot in the middle, and basically anything that is going in this direction, like drawers, tables, shelves, other test tube items, they're going to be going towards this dot. So if I want to draw, I'm thinking about drawing like some like other test tubes on the side. So I'm going to have the tops of the test tube come up like here. So maybe might have like other test tubes like this way, filled with who knows what. There might be like some other creatures or stuff in there. I always find it like really cool though. I don't know if anybody watches like sci-fi or like sci-fi based shows. I always love it when, I know it's a cliche, it's a little bit of like a sci-fi cliche, but I love it when like characters walk into a room and it's just like full of test tubes. I don't know, there's something like really ominous about it, but I think why I love it is because it feels like the characters really discovered something that they're not supposed to, and there's this air of like danger but also like mystery to it, and it's just like I don't know, I love it. It's really like, it's really cool. And then maybe the table would be like here. So maybe we wouldn't see the tops of the tables. So maybe something like that. And then each one has a little bit like a control panel to it. Yeah, if you guys draw alongside, feel free to also like maybe even like share it on our Discord. So again, if you guys have not checked out our Discord or you guys are not a part of it, remember to check us out on our Discord, where we share a lot of like also extra notes, and I'll be sharing this drawing afterwards as well. So if you want to kind of see what my drawings and my notes look like at a closer look, this will be kind of one way to do it. Follow us on Discord. Yeah. Something natural, the way to make it as sci-fi as possible, like trying on the challenge to make sci-fi something that speaks against it. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. Those are some cool ideas. Yeah, so I guess that goes to the topic or not the topic. Well, I guess it's kind of like a topic. So someone brought this up on the poll or on the comments for the poll, where someone asked, how do you come up with the concept? And I think a big part of it is also storytelling. And I think a lot of us tend to sometimes kind of ignore the storytelling element of design and concept. And background is a huge part of coming up with a story. So when you're coming up with a background, it's always a good idea to also think about, what is the purpose of this environment? What was it used for? Who uses it? Why is it designed in this way? So it's like, oh, this is a test tube lab, and it's like, so I'm thinking like, oh, maybe it's not just this one big tube in the middle, but there's also these other ones over here on the side. So what does that mean? Were these smaller ones on the side kind of like the earlier tests that happened, and then this one in the middle is the more successful one? Who knows? So it's kind of always really cool to think about the story that you want to tell with the environment, so that when you put details, or when you're trying to think of details to put into your environment, there's always like a reason for it, and it's not just like a arbitrary reasons like, oh, well, I just want to throw it in there. Now, to be fair though, sometimes that's totally fine. You can always just throw in a little bit of detail for the heck of it, but I think having a reason for it always makes your ideas feel a little bit more fleshed out, and helps to also make it feel that much more realized when you start detailing it. So yeah, I don't know what I want in the back. I always feel like, I don't know if anyone's watched like Fallout, but I feel like in Fallout there's these huge like canisters in the back, or not canisters, but these like huge like pipes and whatnot in the back. I really like that aspect. I've not watched the second season though, but they like walk into, it's not really a spoilers, because I feel like if you don't know what I'm talking about, it'll be like, what? Okay. But our main characters, I think our main characters, one of the main characters walks into like this room, and there's like all these just like tubes where she kind of discovers what's been kind of going on behind the scenes. And I just love those. I love it when shows are able to like do a big reveal that like breaks the expectations of our main characters. You want people in this jar? You want people in this tube? I don't know yet. I have not thought about it just yet. I think maybe creatures would be kind of good. Oh, whoops. I think what I'm focused more on maybe is just the layout, just the composition, just to figure out like, oh, what do I want in here? Could be a person, maybe. Maybe we can do like a little bit of like Ghost in the Shell kind of a vibe. Oh, also, by the way, don't know if you guys saw it. I keep promoting this every time like I get a chance to, but there's a new Ghost in the Shell trailer out there. So if anybody grew up watching Ghost in the Shell, there's a really cool new trailer that's out right now. Yeah, maybe we could do a cyborg. I think cyborg could be kind of cool. You know, maybe a little nod to this Japanese kind of like anime sci-fi um, kind of art style. We can change up the art style a little bit. I always love it when like the character designs are like really kind of cartoony and exaggerated, but then the environment around them is like super realistic and gritty. So like maybe we'll go for kind of like an Astro Boy, Mega Man kind of an art style with like the hands, where it's a little bit like chunkier and bigger, and then the but then the environment itself is a little bit more realistic. I feel like that could be kind of cool. I don't know, maybe something like that. And then we gotta give it like test tubes running through it, maybe like a heart reader or something. I don't know, kind of just throwing out ideas just to see like how I feel. So again, going back to maybe that whole question of like, how do I know what's a good idea or not? Honestly, you really don't know until you try it. Just throw something out there. Obviously, use as many guidelines and points and maybe like themes to help guide your decisions, but then you really won't know whether the idea is good until you draw it. And what I've noticed is that when you're drawing, your thoughts are just racing. You're like, oh, actually, let me add this over here, and like, oh, what if I change this, or what if I put that over here? And I think that's kind of like the fun part about drawing and coming up with things off the top of your head. And I think this is a good reason to not use AI, because I think when you use AI, it comes up with everything for you, whereas I feel like when you have to realize things and when you have to really think through and you draw things out, you really have to figure out like whether something works or not. And so I think that's kind of like the cool part about drawing this and drawing these things. Oh boy, oh Krita. I don't know what is happening. It won't save. Uh-oh. Usually it's okay after I do it a few times. Thank you, Krita. That's real helpful. Okay, I might just maybe see if I can export it as an image. Oh, let me see if I could just save it. Maybe I'll just save it on the desktop for now. It might be the Seagate problem. Give me a sec, guys. Okay. Yeah, it might be a Seagate problem then. Dang it. Okay. That's okay. Fail as much as you can, because that's how you learn to save stuff. Yeah. Fail as much as you can, and I think like as you try, your brain will start kind of like coming up with ideas. Kind of like with this person. As I was drawing it, I didn't really think of the style that the character was going to be in, but then as I was drawing it, my brain was just like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about trying that? And it's like, okay, sure, yeah, you know what, let's give that a shot. Let's draw that in. Let's see how that looks. And it's like, oh, that actually looks kind of cool. Maybe we can go with that. Or maybe, ooh, that doesn't look so good. Let's do something else. So it's really about kind of just trying, and seeing what works. And then as you're coming up with ideas, your brain will hopefully slowly try to roll with the ideas, roll with the punches, so to speak. And so a lot of us, I think, when we kind of think about like, oh, how do you come up with ideas? We're like, oh, maybe we all have to think about it ahead of time. And then the first idea that is the final idea is because I've spent so much time thinking about it. But I think really some of the best ideas come from while we're drawing, while we're planning it out, while we're figuring out the roughs. I think those are where some of the best ideas can come from. Big fridge, imagining just a Titan grabbing one of those little jars, like, that's such a crazy idea. Oh, you know, that's such a, I like that. You know, like maybe like a hand coming in, like a claw grabs. That's how a claw grabs the jar, maybe. I think there was a mini discussion on AI last week. Oh, hey, get the feels. Yeah. Yeah, we had a little bit of like a mini. We had a. Was it a mini discussion? It was quite a big discussion about AI, I guess, last week. But I think there's always a good idea. There's always a good time to kind of go over why it's not a good idea to use AI, I think. It kind of stunts the thought processes that are they're required to help come up with a drawing. Ooh, or maybe we can do kind of like a poster style of a background. Maybe that would be kind of cool. But it was a good 30-ish minute discussion. Yeah, I guess so. I think I like the whole like person in the tube kind of concept and idea. I'm trying to think of like other maybe like compositions that we could use. I also don't know if like how detailed we want to get it to be. But thinking about different concepts, different ideas. Let me see. I feel like always this like tube having like something here, but I like your not suggestion, but your comment about like a giant Titan's hand coming in. Like, oh, what if there was like a giant claw that like comes in? To like pick up these jars. Like, I know it's not like a creature Titan, but it's like a mechanical robot arm that comes in to grab these jars. So yeah, you can just kind of see already. It's just like, just let the ideas run wild. Just let it happen. Embrace the momentum, you know. And I'm thinking too, like the jar has these slots for the hand to kind of pick up. So I don't know if anybody's watched like Spider-Verse. I feel like most people have watched Spider-Verse. Not too much of a spoiler, but that Go Home machine, that like spider, how it like kind of comes in and everything, I really like that. So maybe we'll do something kind of inspired by that. Is like this giant arm here that like fades into the distance. Ooh, I like that. Giant arm kind of comes in and disappears. I think yeah, don't love to see your work in the end. It should be a scene like this. People are walking through a city, and right in front of a huge screen there's an eye watching them. That would be a cool scene. I would, you know, maybe we can kind of like put a pin in that for the city. If we ever tackle this again, we could do that for like a city idea. I know that a lot of people were kind of in the comments. Someone was like, "Oh, these are all like really cool like topics and themes. Wish we could kind of do all of them." So, you know, maybe if people want, we can tackle this theme again and do more like sci-fi background or illustrations styles. I mean, we can still have the eye, I think, looking at them. I think that'd be kind of neat. I just like this hand. You know, this hand coming down, picking up this. Actually, I might kind of maybe go with this. This is kind of cool. Maybe we won't have the person be like floating like that, but we'll have it like maybe off to the like a 3/4 kind of pose. And we can have like still the wires and the cables and everything still connected to them and whatnot. But I like that. You know, like the whole eyes looking at the person. That seems kind of cool actually. Maybe we could do something like that. We can have like a giant TV screen with a giant eye looking at our character. It's almost kind of like monitoring them, maybe. I don't know about like giant TV screens, but maybe we can have it be like these orbs. They're kind of looking at, monitoring our character here. And I was thinking like this maybe pulls it out of like the floor. That could be kind of cool. So there's like a giant hole in the floor. And then there would be like smoke coming out, you know. If you and all your colleagues would have the same theme like sci-fi, would you say you would perform the best? Why? Who? You can tell us they're not listening. Oh, you mean like amongst everybody who at like Wing Canvas? Would I perform? Oh wait, would you say you would perform the best? If no, who would perform the best? Uh, that's a good question. I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. I think I draw the most sci-fi, so this sounds kind of like very, like, obnoxious of me to say, but I guess I would technically perform the best at the moment. But we did get a new instructor, and his name is Sean. And Sean has done a lot of concept artwork before, but I don't know if he's done like sci-fi stuff, but I feel like he could probably pull off sci-fi. Yeah, it could be kind of cool, but don't know. That's an interesting question. You can have like the tubes still here. I feel like this would be really cool as like a poster. I'm wondering if maybe there's two. It's so spaced out though. So humble. Well, genuinely have no idea. Not too sure. But I would think that I could probably. I feel like I do a pretty good job. Okay, the third idea is maybe instead of I don't know. So I feel like the test tube idea, it's always a really good one. The problem that I feel like I always end up, or most people will run into, is the amount of space you have to really showcase the person in the tube. So I don't know, I'm trying to see if there's a way to really kind of have the tube stand out, but don't know. Sci-fi partners thing. No, wait. Alright, I like what you drew. It's so I like it. Okay, thank you. Alright, Mar. The sci-fi partners thing? Hey, which one? Was this something that we like? Some of us teamed up to do? I don't really remember too much of it. Or you know what? Maybe instead of having like a giant jar at the bottom, we'll just have like it be smoky. Because I do like the arm, but I'm like, I'm not too sure. But I like this here. Oh, the XPPen. Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool. Well, what did I draw? Was it like the cyborg kind of guy? If it's the cyborg guy, then yeah, that one's pretty cool. I like that drawing too. I thought that turned out pretty cool. Let me see. Maybe more like eyes. Ooh, I like. Okay, so I have this picture in front of me that kind of looks like this. I like how this one looks, and I feel like it gives enough space to see the person, but I'm trying to think of like what to put in the background, and I think I like this kind of just like mountain of tools in the back, so might do something like similar. I like all the wires, and I think like more maybe like cameras, like those eye monitors be really cool. And let me see. Yeah, like just like giant cords of wires in the background, maybe. Maybe like a tiny monitor over here in the background. So I think we're not going to draw like a whole environment, so then this way we get to really focus on like drawing this. But then we'll have like little hints of like doohickeys and like devices and whatnot, so we can like fill things in. So I think that's all we'll probably need. I actually kind of like this one, so we'll probably go with this. 1, 2, 2A. So we didn't really do like a full like third idea, but I think that one would be pretty good. In a Star Wars like universe. Oh man, I gotta really look at that. I don't remember that idea. Like I maybe I mean I did do the what is it, I did do the XPPen workshops, but I'm just like, oh, I don't remember drawing two characters. I remember drawing two fighting characters, but I don't really remember too much. I like the second one too. The character feels less like it's being monitored. Someone has plans for this artificial person. Ah, yeah. So like I kind of saw this and I'm just using this for the background, but I'm wondering if like maybe we can put one more kind of monitor here, maybe. I think that would be, it'll just help to kind of flesh out the environment and the scope of things. Cool. Nice. Okay, we're gonna stick with this one. And was it not? No. I'm gonna put this one like here for now. Okay, let me see. Where's this? Okay. Gonna merge all this. Okay. Merge. Okay, now, so I guess a little bit of an overview as to like what's happened so far. So we came up with a bunch of stuff that were to help guide us. So again, we're going back to the game plan, and I think it's always a good idea to really solidify and really kind of nail down the direction and trajectory you want to head into for an environment. So that's where like writing all these themes and topics I think is a really good idea. And then after that, we kind of listed out a whole bunch of things that makes sci-fi feel like sci-fi. So we kind of wrote down a bunch of kind of just like elements, assets, visual languages, or colors and themes that make things feel sci-fi. And then we came up with some concept thumbnails. And so we got the first one here, which was kind of more based on 1-point perspective and kind of just had the person right in the middle with a bunch of other rows of tubes. And then someone in the chat mentioned how it's like, oh, imagine like if a giant titan came in and picked up these tubes or jars. And I was like, oh, you know, that's kind of cool. Like, what if we had a giant robot arm that picks up these test tubes? So I put that there. And then Kana mentioned something about like, oh, these giant eyes looking down on the city streets. So I'm like, oh, you know, what if we had these like robot, very cold monitors, like these robot eyeballs that are just kind of floating around observing the test subject inside of the test tube while it's being plucked out. And then we kind of fleshed out the background a little bit more with all these like cables and things. So we're gonna go to a 2A. So we came up with 2 ideas, and I think that's a good amount for the amount of time that we have. Even though this is a 2-parter, I think we should get going into actually finalizing this one. So I'm gonna take everything away, and we're gonna make this really, really big. Or not really, really big, but a little bigger. And I'm actually gonna scale this up just a bit so that we have a little bit more pixel densities to work with. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be drawing, and I think I'll just put this here. I think that's a good reference for like value. How about using the outer space as a background? Oh wait, also there's some other stuff too. Does an artist have to be an expert in everything? Nope. An artist does not have to be an expert in everything. I think this is a little bit of a misconception. At least what I would say is an artist does not have to be an expert on every single subject matter, or maybe I shouldn't say subject matter. As an example, so one day someone in class asked, how do I draw a dolphin? And I said, you know what? I don't know how to draw a dolphin. I've never really drawn a dolphin before. So let's go find some images of dolphins and I'll show you how to draw a dolphin. And I think it was a little bit like maybe surprising or shocking to that student to learn that I've never drawn a dolphin before, or that I don't know how to draw a dolphin. But the fact of the matter is that in your life as an artist, you're never going to know how to draw everything out there in the world because there's just so many things to draw. And I think that's kind of like the cool thing about art as well, is that there's always something new to draw. So if you ever get bored drawing one thing, you can always find something new to draw, or a new topic or subject to pick up and think of and to learn. So I don't think an artist needs to learn how to draw everything. What I do think is more important is for an artist to gain the ability to understand how to draw everything. So even though I've never drawn a dolphin before, I was still able to draw a dolphin because the principles of how to draw a person or a bottle or an apple, those principles that allow me to draw those things are still applicable to being able to draw a dolphin, or like a room, or a tree, or a dinosaur. I've never really drawn a dinosaur before, but I kind of drew one for a class not too long ago. So it's kind of cool because it kind of keeps you on your toes in a way, and I really love that about art, is being able to draw a whole bunch of things and to learn new topics and themes to draw. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is kind of called cleanup. I would say that this is the forgot to make a new layer. Cleanup / linear stage. But fundamentals are weird. Yeah, fundamentals, I would say, do try to learn the fundamentals as much as you can. That is the one thing that I think you should have, most artists should have the general basis or understanding of. But when it comes to like being able to draw every object or animal or creature, then I would say no. I don't think you need to know everything, but once you become curious about it, then I think it's a good time to try it out, check it out. For example, I very rarely draw motorcycles, but I really want to draw motorcycles. So one day, when I get the time, I really want to spend some time drawing motorcycles and understand how to draw it and how to like turn it around and give it like a good sense of volume to it, because it's not really a subject matter that I draw too often. But yeah. Okay, so we got this giant robot arm. Oh, time to figure out how this robot arm is to be drawn. So on this cleanup, what this means is I'm not necessarily going in all in on the details, but I want to figure out how these things are functioning. So for example, I have this giant robot arm out here right now, and it has a bunch of little fingers to it. So now I need to figure out like, okay, how are these fingers kind of controlled by this arm? So I think maybe we'll have these like tubes out here, or not tubes, these like those like spheres that can kind of like rotate and move in any direction. I think we can have that here, and the robot digits and fingers would kind of be connected to it. I think that is kind of how I want to go about it. I think I kind of want to go with like these very, I don't want to go super realistic, but it definitely is not going to be super realistic. But I think what I want to go for is that kind of almost cartoony-ish approach to sci-fi. Kind of the style that you kind of see in something like Ghost in the Shell, like the new anime. Don't know if anybody has checked it out yet since I've mentioned it, but there's a lot of really cool, I think what's really kind of neat about that style is it seems really chunky and everything is really bulky, but it's also like very like well realized and very kind of detailed actually, while also feeling very cartoony. It's kind of a really cool style. I really love that art style. Yeah, maybe we'll put these shapes in here. So we got like one finger. We'll maybe put like one more here. I think it will have to lock in, so to lock into the lid. So I think what I'll do is I'll have it actually extend this little like finger digit piece that comes out. Oh, it looks pretty cool. Okay, to this drawing, where is the lighting gonna be with this much stuff? I would imagine it being very annoying to shade everything, like the tube, the claw, the eyes, the cables. All of them are different in shading in many ways. Yeah, so, well, I think we'll have enough time to go over it. I'm gonna show you what to do after you get the linear done. So this stage that I'm in right now is what I call the linear stage. This is the stage where you're trying to clean up the drawing a little bit more, try to flesh out the logistics of the drawing is how I like to describe it, meaning you're not really trying to add every single nitty-gritty details, but you're trying to figure out where things should be. So that's why I'm trying to figure out like the shape of this robot arm, how it's designed, the look of it. But then once you're done the cleanup or slash the linear stage, this is when you get into something called a value study. And this is where we'll take the drawing and we'll kind of shrink it down to a smaller size. And I'm actually going to try to figure out what the colors are going to be. And this is a really important stage of planning and also ideating, where you get to figure out the value that something is going to be before you commit to it, essentially. Before you commit to the lighting. So you kind of know where everything should be, you kind of know how the lighting would be, where it would be coming from, and all that good stuff that you'll need to figure out your drawing. Yeah. But I'm thinking it might be similar to this one. So a lot of times when you look at like test tube images, I feel like most of the light source comes from the tube. So we'll kind of rely on that actually. We'll have most of the information be coming from the test tubes themselves. And let's see. We got this hand going this way. So let's have it go like this. So I'm trying to figure out the direction that these finger digits would be going in, so I know where to bend them. So we got one here, we got one here. It's kind of like drawing a hand in general, but now we gotta figure out the mechanics of it, the mechanized components. So they're slightly rounded, so I'm going to include that roundedness to these joints, and yeah, maybe might even have it just jut out a little bit here. So a lot of this inspiration, if you're kind of like, Josh, you know, are you like making this? I get this question a lot from one of our students, which is like, are you making this up as you go? And I am making this up as I go, but a big kind of asterisk here. I am basing this a lot on things that I've seen as a kid. So things kind of like shows that I've grown up with, kind of like cartoons that I grew up watching a lot of the times. So I'm kind of in a way using like my memory, my recall muscle to recall a lot of what I've seen growing up and kind of like repurposing them for my own ideas in a way. So that's kind of what I'm doing in a way. So I'm not necessarily using reference like right in front of me, but instead I'm kind of relying on things that I've seen growing up and using that to guide a lot of my design decisions. But if you're like, oh, but Josh, I don't really have that, then that's totally okay. You can definitely still, I always recommend to students to go find references, find things that you can relate to, that you'd be able to look at yourself and understand how you would draw those things, how you would shape those things. Yeah, because each and every one of us has a different kind of experience, has a little bit of a different experience and sources of inspiration when it comes to our ideas. So I don't expect each and every one of us to have the same source of inspiration or ideas or visual language when it comes to art. And that's kind of, again, going back to what makes art beautiful and amazing, is being able to have different ideas and have those things kind of inspire us. Alright. When combined with something made in clash against it somehow, showing somehow. Oh, that's cool. Knights of Guinevere. I've never heard of that before. Sounds kind of neat. Keep pressing the wrong button. But yeah, if you guys have any kind of sci-fi questions, let me know. I will try to answer it as best as I can. Also, I think the cool thing about doing sci-fi drawings is that I think we always get a chance to experiment with how kind of run down things look. I feel like that's gonna be really cool. So I'm gonna try to draw a more run down robot arm. So it doesn't always have to look super pristine or super clean. You can get away with some of these more kind of run down robot arms. I think it would be kind of cool. And very interesting how everything unfolds. Oh, okay. Oh, it's an indie anime show? Oh, that's cool. That's neat. I mean, I would be down to kind of check it out. Let me see. Okay, this goes here. This goes here. I realize it wouldn't be able to bend this way, though. That's okay. we'll just make it work. Isn't today a holiday? Oh yeah, it is kind of a holiday. It's not really a holiday. So it's a holiday on Monday, but it's not a holiday just yet, I guess. But yeah, it is kind of a holiday. So yeah, on Monday we here in Canada have something called Victoria Day. And so yeah, it's on Monday well, not everything, but a lot of services and companies get a little bit of a break, but it's not really the holiday yet on the weekend. So yeah, that's why we're streaming today. Yeah. All right. I feel like that makes a little bit more sense. Then what do we have here? Okay, we have, so this one, I know technically it's like, oh, but you know, you have it on the side, so you know, actually I might flip these. So I might take this one and I'm gonna move it here, and I'm gonna take this one. I like how it's asymmetrical, so I don't, but I think I'm gonna flip these. Have this one be here, and then have this one be on the other side. Be here on this side. I think that makes a little bit more sense. Yeah. Have it be here. Yeah. Okay. I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. And let me see. Okay, yeah, this would be like here, and then this one would be hidden by the test tube. So I think that would be, I think this works a lot better this way. And then we can add like the arm. I don't know what kind of arm this is, but I really like this more lobster shaped arm. So we're gonna go with this lobster shaped arm here for like the shape of this robot arm that comes in and grabs our main character in this test tube. It's gonna be like here, and it'll be like maybe like going this way, maybe a little bit. Yeah, gonna have to maybe like reconstruct some of these things, but it would be good. I think we'll be able to kind of like reconstruct it over time. And we'll put another piece. I think like having these like different chunks and layers will just help to sell that it's kind of like mechanical and sci-fi. And I guess this kind of goes back to that question of like what makes it feel sci-fi, and I think this was one of the things that we mentioned of just like big components, just these larger than life kind of objects that come in. You know what? Actually, that's a good point here. I'll kind of show you guys a little trick. When it comes to ellipses or kind of circles in perspective, when you're doing rough drawings like this, you don't have to worry about the ellipses being too perfect. Just draw them in a different size. Obviously make them kind of consistent, but if you don't know, circles, so here we have a circle. This is like flat and on the side. Ellipses is when a circle in perspective. Circle in perspective is when a circle is turned on its side and it becomes kind of like this disc. Now the cool thing about drawing ellipses, especially more for roughs and ideas, you don't actually have to have the ellipses be too perfect. So these are called ellipses. You don't actually have to have them too perfect. What you do is you just think about how large or how open the ellipses is. The more open an ellipses is, the closer it becomes back to looking like a circle. The more narrow the opening is, the more it looks like it's on its side. So when I'm drawing these bolts in here, all I'm really thinking about is, am I looking at it head on or am I looking at it from its side? So if I'm looking at it from its side, it's going to be kind of turned a little bit. And then if I'm looking at it from the side like this, then it's just going to be a flat rectangle. Or it's going to look like a rectangle. And then if it's from the front, it's just going to be a circle. So when I'm drawing these bolts in, I'm actually really just I'm eyeballing it, but I'm just using that really simple tip. I was like, okay, how head on am I looking at these bolts, and how kind of on the side am I looking at them? And yeah, Chaos Chameleon, hello, hey Chaos Chameleon, welcome to today's stream. Glad to see you here. But yeah, that's a good point. Good point on about the cylinders, because I know cylinders and whatnot. It's something, I think it's a topic that a lot of people still kind of contemplate about. Okay, let's draw in the canister. So we're looking at the canister, I would say like from the top. I'm gonna draw it flat though, just so that it makes I don't have to worry about the perspective of this canister. We can keep it kind of simple and straightforward if we want to. And I'm just gonna have this. So for example, this is actually an ellipse right here. It's angling down just a little bit, and I'm just having it curve down. And I'm paying attention to roughly where the center of the, oh my gosh, where the center of this canister would be, and I'm having the bend of the ellipse, like the lowest part of the dip of the ellipse, having that be around the center, so somewhere around here, and then it's gonna come back up around there, and there we go. We have our canister, our test tube. Another interesting name. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, chameleons are interesting. They're so bizarre. Chameleons. But yeah, hopefully you're doing good, Chameleon. Chaos Chameleon. Glad you're able to show up for today. I kind of really like how many ridges there are on this test tube. I don't know if we'll have enough time to, or if I have enough space to add all those like components, but that'd be kind of cool to try it out. Let's make this one a little bit lower so that it's there. I should really change my shortcuts. On my other user account, the eraser button is the color switch button on this user, so that's why you guys see me keep switching to like the red color. It's not because I'm trying to switch it to red, it's because the buttons are swapped on this one compared to my other user account that I'm a little bit more familiar with. So that's why I keep switching around unintentionally. Okay, I think, oh, forgot to add the other arm. Okay, so we'll draw the other arm over here. Maybe it'll be like here. I think somewhere around here would be good. And we don't have to draw too much of it because it's pretty much mostly obscured. So I think we're good. Something like this, I think, would be enough. There we go. We have our robot arm. Woo! I got my braces updated. Ooh, nice. Hopefully your teeth heal properly, I guess. Best of luck to the brace wearing experience. Any idea what foods I can eat? Oh, I feel like I don't know if I'm I should be giving like food eating advice for your dental needs. I feel like that's the job of the dentist. I always thought that the dentist gives you, or like tells you what you're allowed to eat after you get the braces. They go like, okay, don't eat this, try to only eat this and whatnot. So honestly, I don't know. I've never had braces, so I do not know what is allowed to be eaten. But I must eat not too amazing soft food. But what is that? I guess like, see, I don't know. Like, so soft food, does that include like bread? Are you allowed to eat like soft bread? Can you eat mashed potatoes? Or would it get stuck in the braces? Because I think the one thing is like hard food, you can't eat it in case it kind of like moves your teeth, I think, or it ruins the bracing of it. But then I'm like, okay, can you eat like bread, or would that get stuck in your teeth? So I don't know. That's why I'm like, I think you should just you probably should ask your dentist or see if there's a list of stuff out there. There probably is like a list of stuff, kind of breaking down what you can and cannot eat. Okay, we're drawing the test tube here. Let's make it a little bit longer. Maybe like here. I'm very much just eyeballing the perspective of this. So I guess if this is your first time and you're kind of like, oh, well, Josh, you know, of course you can eyeball it. How do I though figure out like how much of the cylinder can I draw? So when I drew this, I did try to keep in mind of where the horizon line is. So in case of this one, I put my horizon line kind of like right here. And the horizon line is basically where everything kind of vanishes towards. So that means when you draw a box, that's why when you draw a box, you look at it from the top, like so. And that's how it feels three-dimensional, is when you look at it like this. And then if it's at the top, you draw like so, and boom, you have a three-dimensional prism. That's how you get the cubes. So everything always goes towards a vanishing point on the horizon line. And so for mine, the horizon line is up here. So if your horizon line, if you're drawing an object, and the object's top surface is above the horizon line, you're not going to see the top of the cylinder. But if it's below the horizon line, then you're going to see the cylinder curve down. So basically, the top of the cylinder curves up if it's above the horizon line, and if it's below the horizon line, it curves down. If the cylinder is if both tops and bottom are below the horizon line, then the top, we see the top of it, it curves down. And then we also have the bottom of the cylinder also curve down. And a little quick shortcut, you don't have to be very precise actually with the curvature of the cylinder, at least not in the beginning unless you're doing very architectural or technical drawings. You can have this be the same as this. So these can be the same. You don't have to be very technical with it, but just make them feel the same. And it goes for the same thing up here. If I have the cylinder above the horizon line, then we're not going to see the top of the cylinder. And the bottom of the cylinder, we are going to see the bottom of the cylinder. So again, we draw a tiny little ellipse at the bottom. And again, same thing. You can have this be the same as this, so that it just looks three-dimensional. And the higher and further away the ellipse is from the horizon line, then the more curved it's going to be, and the more open the ellipse is going to be. So the further away the horizon it is from the horizon line, so further, and then this is close. Close, then you won't see too much of it. Further, you see more of it. So when I'm drawing my cylinder here, if my horizon line is right here, then that's why the top of my canister and the tube is fairly flat, and then the bottom of my cylinder here is curving a little bit because it's far away from the horizon line. So that's kind of how I am kind of determining the curvature and the shape of my cylinder for the test tube. Just a little, I guess, heads up for if anybody has always tried to draw cylinders, but it's like, oh, it does not look correct. Probably if it's not looking correct, it's because you don't have it in the right spot. Ooh, hello. Hey, I feel like I'm going to butcher your name. Stuti Chauhan. Hello. Glad you're able to join us. From what I've heard, crumbs can get stuck in between the braces. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's like, I feel like if you ate bread, it would get stuck, which is the unfortunate thing. Oh, I'm going to draw the other side of the ellipse. Oh, one little tip about ellipse, and I say this all the time to my students. The one key thing about ellipses is you do not want to have them be pointy at the corners. So what do I mean by that? These corners right here, these are corners of an ellipse. Do not make them pointy. A lot of early artists make them pointy, myself included, and it might look good in the beginning, but then as you draw more and more, and as you lean a little bit more into like realism or just trying to get better and more accurate, you'll start to realize or notice that something feels a little bit off about your ellipses, and they don't feel as realistic or as clean as they did in the beginning. And that's because ellipses are not pointed at the corners. Do not make them pointy. They are rounded. They have curves to them. So you want to make them feel curvy. Oh. It's more than teeth hurt when my teeth touch, so chewing is just pain. Oh. I mean, I guess there's like soups. Can you have soups? Can you have mashed potatoes? I feel like if you can have those things, then that, or I don't know if you like mashed potatoes. Or chili. Ooh, does chili count as a soft food? I don't know. I've never had braces before, so I feel like I don't know. I don't know what you can have. And actually, my sister has also never had braces before either, so I have no one in my close circle that's ever had braces, so I unfortunately can offer zero advice when it comes to braces. But yeah. I'll just starve till the adjustment period. No, don't starve. You gotta eat some food. Let's see. Eyeball it like the eyes in the background. Yeah, you just gotta a little bit of eyeballing, yeah. Did you plan the horizon line before you started drawing? Is this something else that becomes second nature? I guess it's not, well, I guess I kind of planned it. It was more of like, okay, I knew that we're going to be looking down on the tube, so I didn't plan out exactly where the horizon line is going to be, but like as I was drawing it and as I was planning it in the rough, I then was like, okay, because we're looking down at the tube, the horizon line is probably going to be up here, and since I don't want to draw the tube, like the top of the tube too much, I'm gonna, like, as I'm like drawing and designing it, I came to the conclusion of putting the horizon line at the top. So yeah, so I guess that's kind of how I came to kind of placing it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like super planned, but it just kind of like as I was drawing it, it kind of just I made it work. It's not that it just, oh, it just so happened, it's so lucky, but it's more of like, I think as I'm drawing it and realizing and planning it, it just kind of I slowly made it work for it to be that way, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes some sense. I don't know if that makes some, like, a whole bunch of sense, but not everything. I think some things can be planned out. Not everything needs to be planned out. And I think sometimes the improvisation is kind of what keeps art on its toes and makes it more interesting, more exciting, and a little bit more improvisational in a way. But yeah. So let's see. Oh, we have like half an hour left. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. I think I'm gonna leave a little bit of time at the end to also kind of just go over kind of my thoughts as I was drawing this, because I know that a lot of the times when I'm drawing, I don't explain all my thought processes like right from the beginning, or it might seem like, oh wait, how did you do that, or how did you figure out that, or how did you come up with that idea, and stuff like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a little bit of time at the end in the last like few minutes of stream to kind of just go over any questions you guys might have, like, wait, how did you know to put that there, or how did you know about that, and try to answer them as best as I can. Because I know that sometimes, like, while we're drawing, like while us instructors or any kind of like artist streamer is drawing, it's kind of hard to talk and draw at the same time. So yeah, if there's any kind of like thing that you felt like, oh, I didn't really necessarily cover or go over, and you want me to kind of explain, feel free to let me know, because I don't mind kind of going over it and covering it again to kind of clarify any unknowns, so to speak. Okay, I'm also gonna just lightly erase this. So we have some smoke. Okay, we did the robot arm, we got the canister going, we got the smoke going. I'm gonna save the person for last. Let me see, what else can we add here? You know what, we're gonna add one more ring at the bottom. And we don't have anything on, I don't have anything on Monday, so maybe I might kind of just work on this on Monday, actually, if I have time. So maybe if I work on this, I might make a little bit of a notification or announcement on Discord. So again, another reason to come join our Discord. Yeah, I might be maybe cleaning this up afterwards on Discord. So if I do, I'll make an announcement and feel free to come and hang out. And yeah, I'll just be drawing, and you can come and draw and hang out with me as well if you want to. It'll be kind of like just some chill drawing time. I think it'll be kind of fun. Yeah. Okay, bye, Jackfellow. I know you said hi. I forgot to say hi for a bit, but yeah. Oh, they say the Cybertruck is what a futuristic vehicle would look like, but to me, futuristic cars really look like tin trash cans with lots of sharp edges. I'd stick with modern ones. You know, that's a good point. Jack fell down. Glad you're able to come in and say hi for a bit. Tiny little tangent. Hello, tiny little tangent. Sorry, my eyes are like, I can't separate the L's and the I's and the T's, but glad you're able to come and say hi. Yeah, no need to, well, you know, feel free to say hi and talk as much as you want. We're all a very welcoming community here, so yeah, glad you're able to come and hang around and whatnot. But yeah, and hopefully, and glad to hear that you're also enjoying the content and the art nerd community. We all of us here at Wing Canvas really appreciate you guys, and we always love it when you guys are able to say hi and just kind of share the love, because yeah, we don't do this, we do this for you guys, and I love kind of sharing any kind of like insight or knowledge that I might have with all of you. So yeah, your words of encouragement is always super well appreciated. It's like a bunch of noodles. This, how it just like curves and is winding around. I don't know where it would be going, but it's going somewhere. It's curving somewhere. Okay, I feel like it would be too big to, whoops. Oh. I was like, what happened there? I feel like it's a little bit too big to kind of wind in that way, so I might have to, excuse me, curve it a bit. Love the smoke version, very good idea. Oh, thank you, yeah. I think the smoke was a nice little touch as well. Not to you, little yeah. At first I thought, oh, I get the feels. Are you leaving too? It's like, oh no, yeah. I think you're saying bye to Jack fell down, but yeah. Okay. Ooh, that looks pretty good. I like, that looks pretty neat. Okay. So we're drawing all these things here, but I think we will kind of clean these things up. I think on like my own time, kind of like what I said with maybe cleaning this up on stream. Oh wait, not on stream. Cleaning this up on Discord afterwards. So again, this is, I guess, a little shout out, not call out, a little shout out to the Discord. If you guys want to see me finish the line work for this, definitely come and join our Discord, and yeah, I'll put out a little bit of a quick announcement when I do go live, and it'll be a little bit different from stream. It'll be more of like a chill hang and draw kind of a session, and yeah, just be kind of on drawing. Trying to practice drawing kaiju, then animating. Oh, that sounds awesome. Have I drawn kaiju? I feel like I don't really draw like creatures or animals too much, but that sounds like an awesome idea. I think that would be really cool. I feel like with kaijus, have you watched what is it, Pacific Rim? I feel like Pacific Rim has some really cool designs that you can maybe draw inspiration from. Don't know, just a little bit of like a, I don't know, some suggestion, quick suggestion, in case don't know where to start. But I feel like Pacific Rim had some really good uses of like shapes and what was it? What am I saying? Yeah, just the contrast of like shapes and mass. I think that's kind of what helped out make it really feel like it was just larger than life, I think. Alright, that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, sometimes I feel like there's like little computer panels that stick out of like test tubes. So maybe I'll do the same thing. So for this, if I want to draw like a little computer panel that juts out, I am thinking about like, okay, do I see the top of this computer panel screen, or am I gonna see like none of the tops at all? So I'm looking at the curve and it's like, okay, we're below the horizon line, so I'm gonna see a little bit of the top of the screen, if there even is any kind of paneling here. So we're gonna leave that here as like a little screen thing. Maybe we'll have like a little button, like boop. Very Star Wars inspired there for the buttons. But yeah, and let me see if there's anything else. Oh, the wires. Actually, I feel like there wouldn't be any wires just because we already like it's being picked up by this robot arm. But you know, maybe I'll add like this little curve here to represent like I don't know where the tubes might have linked into. So the shapes of these are kind of inspired by I don't know if you've ever seen those like drills. It sounds weird for me to say this. Like, have you guys ever seen drills before? But you know, like when you sometimes see like lights or drills, they have these like little holes, and then they have this little like light LED light fixture inside of it. I feel like that's kind of what I'm basing this on, so that it's not just like a regular, just like a hole, but there's a little bit of like three-dimensionality to it. Man. Oh, I love Pacific Rim, but I love the kaiju from the Godzilla universe. Ah, okay. Has the best kaiju in my opinion. That was cool. Sorry, but abandoned my many sci-fi art. I'll try some kaijus as well. You know, does kaiju fit into like the sci-fi theme? Is kaiju considered sci-fi? Because I feel like if you think about it, it kind of feels like it is technically sci-fi, right? Or at least a lot of the genre of kaijus fall under sci-fi. Like if you think of like Pacific Rim, it's sci-fi. If you think of like Godzilla and like the theme of Godzilla, it's technically kind of sci-fi because it's about like the nuclear bombs and whatnot. But it also feels weird categorizing kaijus as sci-fis. So I guess it's not like it's not like strictly sci-fi. I guess it's more just like a monster film with sci-fi elements to it, maybe. Maybe that's like a better way of kind of breaking it down or explaining it. Let me see. Oh, yeah, let's get this smoke rippling in. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Is kaiju considered sci-fi or no? Okay, let's draw our character. Now, I don't really have any plans for what this character looks like, but I do love this pose right here. I think that's a cool pose. Maybe we won't kind of go for it the same thing, but we'll kind of see. I do kind of want the person lower, so I think I'm gonna have the feet here and the head here. Maybe we won't have the head too tucked down. Trying to figure out like how I want the character to be posed. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something like this. I want it to be very airy, very light, almost kind of like defying gravity a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe also in like a bodysuit. I think that'd be kind of cool, like a... I feel like I'm really changing the style that I usually go for, which is really cool because I don't usually do this kind of like a style. Although now it looks kind of funny. I don't know. I want something like a little bit like relaxed, but not too relaxed. Oh, I thought I made a new layer. No, I didn't make a new layer. Well, okay. Let me make a new layer real quick. I mean, it feels sci-fi. In Pacific Rim, Godzilla is a monster that hates humans, destroys the Earth with technology. I think kaiju is its own genre since there's so much kaiju stuff. Yeah, that's true. I do think that that's kind of like a... That makes a little bit of sense that kaiju, or just like the monster genre. I guess it'd be considered more of like the monster genre is the is like what it would be. Maybe we'll just have it be like I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like how what the head shape should be. This is not a this is more like experimenting and trying to figure out like what the head angle I want for this pose to be. Less so like the design of the character, but more of like what should the body be posed like? This is kind of cool. I like this pose. Might maybe go with this one. It looks like she's vibing to music. I have her kind of just like vibing to like some. She's it looks like if she was listening to music, this kind of this kind of feels like the kind of pose she'd be in. Maybe it's because of the hand. Maybe she can have headphones on. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking of like, okay, what kind of pose would it be in? Headphones I'm kind of digging that, like a headphone kind of a pose. And like here's the suit. I feel like this would be kind of cool. A sci-fi suit. So like the boots, gotta give it the moon boots, you know. I don't know if anyone's ever watched Eureka 7 before, but I guess it's like a little bit of the suit's design is kind of inspired by Eureka 7, but I don't know. Trying to play around with like the shapes and the pose for what this could be. Yeah. Or just like even what is it? A lot of like just Ghost in the Shell. I think some of that stuff is like really cool. How like her whole entire character's linked by these wires and whatnot. My favorite kaiju is Mothra. I haven't seen the older Godzilla movies, but Mothra and Mago is my favorite. I've only seen the old Godzilla movies, really. That's kind of funny. You guys are like flipped. And I like Mothra as well. Mothra saved us humans and then went off to space to stop a space rock coming towards Earth. You know, I haven't actually seen too many Godzilla movies, but I've seen the new ones. I don't know, does that count? I actually like the new Godzilla movies, but I've never seen the old ones. But I know that like people love the old Godzilla movies, so I don't know, maybe one day. I know that people really love was it Godzilla Zero? People really love that one. I've not had a chance to watch it though, so but one day. Kind of want to check it out eventually. Hey. Okay, let me see ooh, you know, I like the computer monitors kind of that are there. I feel like that's kind of neat. It's almost like a tree. Actually, this kind of reminds me of like a tree root in a sense, like all the wires and how they're attached and how they're coming out. It's like tree roots. Do like the computer kind of screens on the side showing up over here. It's kind of cool. I'm kind of wondering, is like, oh, should it be screens or are these like floating like TV heads? I feel like maybe like floating TV heads would be kind of cool too. Instead of like just monitors, there are these like floating eyeball TV screens. They're there. Alright. This is pretty good for the rough draft. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like for now. Let me see, we got like 4 more minutes. I might kind of clean this up a little bit to get the person figured out a little bit more. So we'll probably extend this a little bit, but like I said, gonna maybe do just a really quick recap on how this kind of all came together. So if anybody joined like late, or if there was anybody who was like, oh, what's happening, like how'd you come up with this idea and how did this all come to be, yeah, we'll kind of go over how we came to this kind of stage over here. So let me see if I can find the notes. Okay, so this was the original kind of breakdown for what we wanted to do. So whenever I'm coming up with an idea, I like to write down all the words and kind of descriptions to kind of really lay down what the theme and direction that I'm going to be going in. I find that just writing things down really helps to flesh out all the ideas that you might have in your head, and helps to clarify any uncertainty, because ideas might feel really good in our heads and in our imaginations, but until we write it down, it gives us a little bit of a breather to really kind of soak in whether or not the idea is actually good. So I think writing it down gives you a little bit of just that breathing room to reevaluate how good the idea might be. And then once you have a trajectory and a direction you want to head into, then we kind of did this thing that actually I don't think I've ever done before, but kind of just write down what makes sci-fi feel like sci-fi. So we wrote down a lot of kind of just maybe like color descriptors, a lot of kind of just visual descriptions of the materials, and kind of just visual languages that are there that help make up a background, that and how it makes it feel like sci-fi. So with things like cables, metal plating, the colors that are there, the color temperature, and we wrote it all down here. And then afterwards came up with some thumbnails. So thumbnails are just a really quick way of drawing out what we want something to look like. And we came up with kind of 2.5 ideas. So the first one was we had a character kind of floating in a jar or a tube right in the middle of our composition, amongst like a bunch of other tubes on the side, and we use like 1 point perspective to figure it out. But I felt like the composition was a little bit stale. It was a little bit kind of just like not that interesting, so we moved on to his second idea. And someone had mentioned in chat about how like, oh, imagining like a titan grabbing the jar out of this like tube, and I was like, oh, you know what'd be cool is like, instead of the tube being suspended by just a bunch of other wires and cables, what if this robot arm comes and picks up this jar? So I was like, okay, let's do that. And then we had these like floating eyeballs to monitor and watch over our test subject inside of the tube. And then I was like, okay, this feels a little bit too zoomed out. Let's tighten up the composition a little bit more. So that's kind of what the 2.5 ideas comes into play. So 2A, or idea 2A, is a little bit tighter cropped in, and it includes a little bit more background elements for it. So we took this idea, I took this idea, and I basically kind of just drew around it. So I had the rough, so you can kind of see I took the rough, made it really big, and then I lowered the opacity to draw and clean up the drawing a little bit. And we went over a few things like perspective, how did I get the overall composition for this and the perspective of it to feel right. And a lot of that really comes down to just knowing where the horizon line is. And the horizon line for me was around here at the top of the canister. And the reason why, you might be like, oh, well, how did you know, or like, why did you put it there? And that's because when I'm looking at this composition or the scene, it looks like I'm looking down onto our character. So that means that the horizon line is usually higher. So when we look down on a scene, we kind of picture it as yourself as the cameraman. If you were to look at a scenery like this, would you be down low to the ground, or would you be high up in the air, or would you be kind of somewhere in the middle? So in this case, I felt like if we were looking down on the tube, we would be kind of level with the robot arm. So that is why the horizon line is kind of right here at the top. And you can kind of see the way that I base the curves on my canister is also based on the horizon line. So if the horizon line is like flat here, then the top of the test tube is going to be kind of either flat or curve up just a little bit. And any of the curves of the canister is, if it's below the horizon line, it's going to curve down. And I kind of drew it out here to show you guys like how it would look like for like other scenarios or other angles. But yeah, a lot of this is based on kind of just like looking at references, looking at like, or just being inspired by different things. So I think I mentioned how I think a lot of like the shape languages and the shape languages of the robot arm was very much inspired by like Ghost in the Shell, especially with the new trailer that came out with like the shapes of the robot pieces being very round and bubbly. And then the character, I wanted to do something a little bit more cartoonier, more exaggerated. So that's why she has a bit more of these rounder shapes on the suit. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna quickly show you, because someone asked about lighting not too long ago, about like how I would light something like this. And so I'm just gonna quickly change the person's color to, like, the line colors to the same color as the rest of the environment. And so this is something that I usually do after I get maybe the linear done. So this stage right here is called the linear. It's not really the final line work. There's maybe a few things that I would still clean up and all that. But what I would do after that is make a new layer below all my lines. So I'm just gonna, maybe let's merge these two actually. So this is the line work, and then this is the value study. So it's a layer below it, and what I kind of recommend is you get a very, very big blocky brush. So I'm using Krita right now, and I'm going to be using this chalk grainy brush. And I'm going to kind of just block in the whole thing with a square. Let's go with just the gray. So I recommend kind of just using a gray value. It doesn't have to be color accurate or anything. And I would actually even recommend that you mostly just stick to grayscale. Don't have to worry about the colors, because really what you want to figure out is like, how are you lighting this whole environment and scenario. So because we have it all covered in now, I want most of the environment in the back to be pretty dark. So let's kind of go, let's go like this dark maybe. And this is not painting it necessarily. What you're really doing is just figuring out how dark and how light some stuff is. So because the tube is going to be the main light source, I'm going to leave the tube light, and everything else I'm also going to just roughly paint around. Not really trying to do a real cleanup job of it, but just enough so that it kind of still leaves a bit of the shapes. And the whole point and reason of doing this is to also check your compositions. Check to see if it's working, check to see if there's anything that, like, last final little bits of things that you might need to clean up or change. So that's kind of why we keep it fairly rough as well. I wonder why it's lighter. Oh, that's weird. I wonder why. Huh. What the? Something's happening. What is happening? That's so weird. Oh, what? Oh, that is bizarre. What? Huh. I don't know. Sometimes Krita is a little buggy, I feel like. Oh, that is real interesting. What? Why is... Huh? What is going on? I am so confused. Why is some of it showing up and some of it not showing up? That is bizarre. Okay. I'm just gonna reset it because that's a little weird. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's like doing that. It's kind of odd. Okay, now it's fine. Okay. Okay, we'll do it one more time. Yeah, so I'm gonna paint the background again because I don't know what happened. It seemed to have like glitched out on like the colors and everything. Got us watch the new Godzilla movies. Yeah, I feel like they were pretty good. They're not too bad. They're like just kind of, they feel like fun blockbuster movies. How you'd like glass shiny stuff, classic rendering struggle. So for lighting, I think we'll get into lighting a little bit more in the next stream. So part 2, which would be next Saturday, where I'll be cleaning up this drawing. So that's why I'm letting you guys know that if I do get a chance on Monday, or maybe on another day, where if I don't get to do it on Monday, I'll do it on another day, where I'm going to kind of go over and clean up this drawing here to get it ready for part 2. Because if you guys didn't know, this is a 2-parter stream where I'm going to be doing this, and then I'm going to be doing a second part where I clean up and paint this piece over here. So today was mostly on just the line work and the ideation and how to just get an idea going. And yeah, I guess one thing to clarify, these streams are not necessarily me teaching you guys exactly how to draw all your ideas. I think what's more important is teaching you guys how to come up with your ideas and how to plan them out, solidify them, how to find references, how to use your references to guide you, and all that kind of stuff. But the lighting portion, I will show you how to then approach the lighting aspect of it. So right now, I am simply just kind of going over and mapping out the value. So I do think I want it to be quite dark actually. So I'm going to darken, I filled in where all the background shadows are. And then the light source, and then we'll go over lighting as well, like how am I planning and figuring out all the lighting, because that is kind of important. Then we're gonna go here and we're gonna lighten up the test tube. So the test tube is going to be the main light source, but we'll go into it a little bit further in the next stream. Today is mostly just about kind of like figuring out and planning, like how are we doing this, or like how am I doing this. But I would say a little bit of a teaser for the next stream. Knowing where your light source is a super big part of lighting. Understanding like why, like what is in front, what is behind, what is the closest part of your painting subject, and where is it related to the light source. That is super important, and a big part of just painting is about just knowing your light source. So yeah, it sounds very simple and straightforward, and sometimes a part of it is that it is just very straightforward and simple. It's not as complicated as you might expect it to be, but that doesn't mean that it can't be complicated, because lighting is still complicated, and it takes a little bit of practice, takes a little bit of time to really kind of plan out and figure out how you want to paint. But yeah, that's why we're doing a little bit of a quick value study here. So I want the smoke closest to the vial or the tube to be the brightest, and then the stuff away from the tube is going to be lighter and lighter. So I want the whole room to be quite hazy, but yeah, it's just going to be, the tube should be the brightest. And then I want parts of the tube or the robot arms to also get a little bit of the lighting. Not all of it, but just some of the robot arms should catch a bit of the lighting. And actually most of the robot arms are going to be dark. So we're just going to paint the robot arms in. Most of this mechanism here is going to be dark. Except for maybe I'll leave a little bit of like the rim or the edge lighting of this canister. How'd you oh yeah, glass. Yeah, we'll go into lighting a little bit more next week about the specifics of it, so that you guys can also hopefully go into lighting and feel a little bit more confident. Lighting is always going to be one of those that just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of practice. It definitely is one of those where you need to practice it in order to get it to work. Oh, what the? Did something happen with... What? The moment I locked it, it made it lighter. That is so weird. What is... Why? That is so weird. I might have to do this on like a new layer when I get home. That is... What? Okay. Well, something's happening. I don't know what happened, but something happened to the piece. What the... Is it the background? No. Why did it get darker the moment I locked it. Oh, you know what? I think I know why. Oh, that's why. Ah, it was at 50%, that's why. Oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's why I was like, something about this feels weird. Why does it look like not fully like there? Okay, so that, yes, this is how dark I guess it's supposed to be, yeah. I was like, I feel like I made it pretty dark. Why is it still so light? But yeah, it's probably going to be something like this, maybe. And let's add a little bit of a darker shadow to like the robot components. So what I'm doing here is not focusing on the details. What I'm actually trying to do is focus on where the lighting source would be and how it would be affecting the robot components. So you might kind of look at this and be like, wait, this feels like detailing. It feels like you're really trying to figure out like the details and the lighting of the objects and like where things would be. That's not necessarily true. What I'm really trying to focus on is like, okay, my light source is the white, is the tube over here, so everything is mostly going to be pretty dark, and I'm just trying to figure out like what parts of the robot arm, the scene, like what is going to be hit with that light source. So that's really what I'm focusing on. What happened to the beast? So what happened was when I put in the square for the masking layer, I accidentally lowered the opacity for my like square tool to be 50%. So when I put down the square shape, anything that got attached to or locked to my my scene, or to like that gray square was at 50%. That's why like all the shadows, all the lights was very like not quite there. It was like a little bit like off because I had accidentally locked it to like 50%. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. A little small mistake. So I'm just adding a little bit of these tiny highlight details to just see how it would look. Not necessarily how it would be completely, but gives me a rough idea. And then this one, I'll make this one just a little bit darker than, a little bit lighter than the background. Not completely as dark as the background, but just a little bit. And then the eyeballs, I think the eyeballs can be like this dark. And you can give them a little bit of like a core lighting to them, and then we can add that shine to the robot screens. And then our character actually has to be a little bit darker because the lighting on her is actually going to be a little bit interesting. This is the one that I'm going to have to really experiment and play around with, because she is technically lit by the test tube, and I have to then think about, okay, where is the lighting coming from? And I think the lighting, I wanted to have it come from the bottom. So she's going to be darker overall, because or else she's just going to blend right into the environment. But what I then have to also do is get it to be a little bit light on like the under areas. So these areas like here, maybe even like here gets a little bit brighter. Underneath the face for sure gets a little bit lighter, just so it looks like she's really like glowing from the test tube and whatnot. So yeah, a little bit kind of like lit it up from all angles, kind of like an edge lighting a little bit, but I want it to be kind of controlled. I don't want it to be too over the top or crazy, just so that it creates a little bit of a dynamic lighting for her. So maybe something like that. I think that looks pretty cool. Definitely with like color, this is going to help out a lot, but I think this is a good direction generally to go at. I'm gonna add a little bit of like core lighting to the robot arm. So the robot arm, I'm just giving it a little bit of like middle shadow throughout everything, just so that it feels more three-dimensional, more like kind of developed and cleaned up. So here is a good, I think, breakdown of like roughly the lighting that we're going to be going for. So next week, when I stream part 2 of our sci-fi background, I'm going to be using this as a template. So this is going to roughly guide what the lighting is going to be. What that means is that I'm using this to just guide where all the lighting is and what is going to be hit with light. And you might be like, oh, well, like this seems like it's already kind of going. Why can't you use this? This was very, very simple. I'm only using maybe like 3 to 4 different values to kind of, maybe like 3 to 5, or no, 4 to 5 different values to kind of figure out the lighting. And as I was blocking this in, I was trying to figure out like where's the lighting source, how it would impact the other objects and elements around the character. And so now that I've kind of figured it out, I can go into the actual painting next week with a little bit more confidence. Now animated, I know, right? Animating it would be kind of cool. I don't know, maybe we could try it. I don't know. I probably wouldn't though, but it would be kind of cool. But yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna try to see if I have time on Monday, and I'll go on Discord and I'll let you guys know that I'm going live on Discord on Mondays, and it'll just be kind of like a hangout section or session where I'll be cleaning up the drawing here, and you can kind of hang out, talk with me, or just kind of draw in silence and listen to some music while we work, or while I work on this, and you can kind of work on your own pieces. Be kind of like just a cool little work study session. And then we'll color and render this for next week. Is this a two-part? Yes, this is a two-parter where I'm going to finish painting this for the next stream. So a little bit of, I guess, a heads up. We are going live. I'm pretty sure it's next Saturday. Let's see, May 16th right now. So, 23rd. So May 23rd, I will be streaming. Yeah, that's next Saturday. So same time, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I will be coloring this in. And if you are like, oh, I want to see how this looks, you know, where can I see this afterwards? As like a quick reminder, I do all of this stuff and post it afterwards on our Discord. So if you want to see what this looks like, you can kind of see all of this on our Discord. I will be uploading it very shortly, so you can take a look at it. Yeah, it'll be kind of cool. Oh, yeah. So I'll post this, and I'll post like kind of like the reference, not that one, the reference images as well as all the notes and everything. And yeah, so you guys can take a look at it. So hopefully, yeah, we'll be able to get this done. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a lot of fun drawing this. I can't wait to kind of flesh this out and put in all the nitty-gritty details. But yeah, if this is your first time joining us, my name is Josh, and I'm one of the instructors and hosts here at Wing Canvas. And if this is your first time joining us at Wing Canvas, we're a YouTube channel where our mission is to offer free art education and tips and advice for you guys. But if you want to improve and really advance your art learning capabilities and skills and get feedback from us instructors, we are also a website. So you can check us out at wingcanvas.com for a lot of different classes, and we also have a variety of instructors that have different specialties and skills. So if you're curious in learning maybe like painting, you could check out Faye's class. If you're interested in drawing foundations, you can check out Arunia. Or if you want to learn how to paint and do like animation, then you can check out some of my classes. And yeah, so check us out on our website. And if you enjoyed the stream and you want to stay up to date with the future streams, definitely like and subscribe, and definitely hit that notification bell so you know when we're streaming next, and you're also aware of when we post polls asking you guys what you guys want us to draw. And if you want to support us, you can check us out on Patreon, where you'll get like free class recordings. You'll get a little bit of like some freebies, as well as some like members only badges and emojis. And if you want to follow us further, we're also on Discord and Instagram. Discord is kind of one of the best places to be for us, since we post a lot of updates, newsletters, art pieces, and progresses there. So if you want to keep up to date with all the little tiny bonuses, definitely check us out on Discord. But we also post the pieces and newsletters on our Instagram as well, so you can follow us on Instagram. And I think that's it. So yeah, keep an eye out on Discord on our live stream channel. I will be posting this shortly for you guys to take a look at. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend. Have a good night, and see you all hopefully next week for part 2. Bye bye, everybody.